What's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a review of the Diamondback Black Gold Series DB-15 chambered in 5.56. I'm super excited about this review, so let's get right into it. Like I said before the intro rolled, we are going to be reviewing this Diamondback DB-15 Black Gold Series chambered in 5.56. So before we really start this review, I would like to first mention Diamondback and thank them for sending this rifle out to do the tests and review on. And I would also like to thank Primary Arms for sending out the optic that was used throughout this whole entire review process. There will be a separate review of the Primary Arms on the channel later on. If you want to watch that, subscribe down below and stay tuned. So let me tell you a little bit about Diamondback. They've been making firearms for way before I was born. They started in 1989. They're a real reputable company based in Florida, and I've owned several of their rifles. I even have a rifle on the back wall back there is a Diamondback. So this is not my first rodeo with Diamondback, so I'm extremely excited to get into this review. So without further ado, let's start talking about the different specs of this rifle. So we will begin by working our way down the barrel and end at the buttstock. So let's start talking about the muzzle brake. So the muzzle brake is the DB-15 muzzle brake. It is threaded with a 1.5 by 28 thread pitch. This is very common for 5.56 and 223, the smaller caliber rounds. Next, we will move to the barrel. This is a chromoly barrel. It is 16 inches long. This barrel steel that is used is more tuned to durability. It's very heat resistant, and compared to like a stainless steel barrel, which is really more for accuracy. This would be a good barrel if you're like law enforcement or really plan to put this barrel through its paces. Next, I would like to talk about the gas system, which is in this Black Gold series. This is not an adjustable gas block, but it is a mid-length gas system. Very common for this type of barrel length. The mid-length gas system has performed really well, and I have no complaints about it. Next, let's discuss the Diamondback series rail. This is the V series rail. Diamondback came out with this rail series when they released the Black Gold and all their new lines of rifles. So this is new to Diamondback, and this is new pretty much everywhere. I really like the rail. It has a lot of nice stippling, good detail along it. I do wish there was M-lock cuts along the top of it like you see here on the side and the bottom. That is one thing I think Diamondback could have improved on, but it's not really necessary because you won't really use it a lot since there is the Picatinny rail pieces here and at the back. So next, let's speak about the upper receiver. This upper receiver on this rifle is 7075 T6 forged aluminum, which is really standard when it comes to all of the rifles. Most upper receivers are the 7075 aluminum. It's pretty common and it's very durable, and you can't really ask for much more. Moving from the upper receiver into the actual internals of the upper receiver, I would like to talk first about the bolt carrier and the actual bolt itself. So it's a shot peened bolt with a mil-spec 8620 bolt carrier. Alright, very nice bolt. I haven't had any feeding problems with the rifle through testing, so I think that the bolt's great. I have another DB with the exact same bolt in it, and honestly, it's a trooper. Next, I'd like to talk about the charging handle. This is just a standard charging handle, mil-spec, nothing really special. It's probably something that I would really like to upgrade later on because I think a charging handle is very important, and I'm just not a super big fan of the mil-spec charging handles. I think they get loose, they wear down, they're just not as good. Next, I'd like to talk about the lower receiver. So the lower receiver is made out of the 7075 aluminum, exactly like the upper receiver, and you really can't go wrong with it, like I mentioned before with the upper. The lower is unique to other mil-spec lowers, though, because the lower has special cuts in it that look completely different in comparison to the standard lower receivers that are just more straight and jagged, and it just doesn't have as much character as this lower has. And as you can see, the lower also has a, I don't know how you would actually say it, but the trigger guard can't be removed. It has a in-place trigger guard, and this is one of my favorite parts about the lower receiver. I hate installing trigger guards, and I hate swapping trigger guards. So if there's a trigger guard already just cast in or forged in into place, is very nice. You don't have to ever worry about changing it out, and I really like that. So now that we've talked about the lower receiver, let's talk about some of the internal parts of the lower receiver. The trigger is a mil-spec trigger, which is perfectly fine for me. I think mil-spec triggers work great. You don't really have to worry about them. Unlike drop-in triggers or other trigger assemblies where you might have to worry about being a light strike or hitting too hard, you never have to really worry about a mil-spec trigger, and you just shoot away and do what you need to do. Moving on from the trigger assembly, we have the furniture. So the furniture on this rifle is Magpul. Now Diamondback recently started doing Magpul furniture with their new line of rifles, and I think that was an amazing step for Diamondback, and I really think it's improved the rifles a lot. So this grip right here, this is the MOE grip. This grip is pretty standard in terms of Magpul grips. It's not rubberized, but it does have nice stippling on it and is comfortable to shoot. It also has a compartment here at the bottom to store batteries or oil or whatever you plan on storing in there, but I usually leave it empty. Moving on to the stock, this is the Magpul CTR stock. So this is my favorite stock from Magpul for two reasons. If you're looking to buy it aftermarket, the price point is spot on at like 60 to 70 bucks, and that is the cheapest stock you can buy from Magpul that actually locks into place. So being able to lock the stock into place, I think is incredibly valuable because it really helps you when you're at the range or you're shooting. So for example, when I took this rifle out to get groups with, I was able to use the Magpul stock to really steady my shot. And the groups were honestly pretty good. So when I was taking this rifle out, I set up targets at 100 yards and I used 3 different ammunition types. So the first groups I shot were with the Federal 55 grain soft point. This is more of a hunting round if you were to do coyote or if you can legally hunt deer with the 5.56 in your state. I would say the Federal soft point is definitely the bullet to use there. But the groups turned out pretty good. It was really tight group with about 1 MOA, if I do remember correctly, at 100 yards, and I think I was very impressed with it considering the cost of the ammunition is around $15 to $18, and it just performed really well. And then the worst group, the Wolf, was obviously not the best, but that's my go-to plinking round, and I was able to get about a 4 MOA at 100 yards and was able to ring steel at 200 yards. Sweet. The Wolf, so I was impressed with it there. So I think the performance of this rifle is about what to expect from this series of rifles. The 1 MOA grouping was very good, especially for the rifle being as new. It only has a few hundred rounds through it at this time of the grouping, so it's probably just starting to get broken into. The Wolf grouping was about to be expected. The Wolf is generally considered a very plinking ammunition, so you can't really put a lot of faith into the 4 MOA grouping, which is pretty wide. It's about a 4-inch group at 100 yards. So the rifle did perform very well, and it performed as expected. A nice, well-built rifle. So with all that being said about the specs of the rifle and how the groups performed, would I recommend this rifle? And I think I would definitely recommend this rifle to more of an entry-level or mid-level person that's getting into firearms. This rifle doesn't come with everything like the trigger and the super nice rail or super nice muzzle brake, and Diamondback does offer those, and those are for people that want everything on their rifle. But if you're a mid-range or beginner person, I think this rifle is fantastic, especially for the $700 price point. You really cannot go wrong there. I think this rifle is better than Palmetto's entry-level rifle, which is around the same price point, and you don't get the nice Magpul furniture or the rail like this or the Cerakoted finish or the different than A2 muzzle brake. I mean, the DB-SB4 is very unique. So I would recommend it really for the mid-range or beginner shooter, not really someone that wants to buy that rifle with the upgraded trigger. Like I said, you can find that elsewhere on Diamondback. So what would I really change about this rifle? I think the only thing I would really change about it is probably the rail. Like I said, I like the M-LOK pieces on top, and I don't know if I'd ever use it, but I would just like to have the ability to use it. So that's really all I would change about the rifle. I think it has a great finish. I think that the rifle is really well priced, really unique, and just an awesome buy overall. So if you've made it this far in the video, you're obviously thinking really hard about this rifle. And I would just go ahead and tell you to go pick it up. Go order it, go to your gun store, ask them for it. Just go ahead and lay the hammer down and just take the shot and pick up the rifle, buy the rifle. It's a great buy, and I really don't think you can go wrong. The people down there at Diamondback have great customer service. They're fantastic, honestly. I can't thank them enough for sending this rifle up for testing. It really means a lot, and I really think they did a great job with this Black Gold Series rifle. So I think that's really going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you found it somewhat informative, and if you did, I would like to ask you guys to go hit that like button. And while you're down there, just go ahead and subscribe, and maybe even comment and tell me what you think of the video. Whether or not I should do more firearms videos like this, whether or not I should pick up a pistol. I'm really thinking about doing a pistol for my next build, so comment down below what you think about that. So I think that about does it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, take someone outdoors. I will see y'all next time.